Hey, good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic Live. I am your host, Neil Johnson, and I am so excited to be with you and share the news with you because every day the news keeps getting better, folks. Donald Trump is doing something that we had all hoped for, and I'm just so excited to actually see it taking place. So do me a favor, if you would, please smash that like as you come in. Do chat in with where you're from. Let's see who's on the stream. I've got Lakeville, Minnesota. I see Tim Cruz on from Lakeville. Good to see you on, Tim. And also, please go support my sponsor, Mike Lindell, MyPillow, MyPillow.com. Use promo code Lumberjack for big savings. And y'all know about the pillows, and I keep talking about those sheets because they're the best, okay? And the flannel sheets are a tremendous deal right now. But people, he has bathrobes, he has pajamas, he has sleepwear. Go over there. That promo code will save you big money on all of it. And I actually prefer calling the 800 number. That's 1-800-568-2865. Again, that's 1-800-568-2865 that way you're dealing with these. A lot of them are stay-at-home moms or people working, trying to add some additional income to the family, and you're supporting them as well. So I really encourage you to use the 800 number, 1-800-568-2865. You can certainly use the website too. But great deals over there and free shipping right now. Springfield, Massachusetts, Missouri, Lincoln, Nebraska, New Ulm, Minnesota. Good to see all you fine folks on. Look, okay, so I've got a number of things I'm going to go through. So just to let you know where this show is going to go today. The freak out over USAID is so big right now, and we're going to dive into some specific numbers on that. But this is why. Ask yourself this question: why are the Democrats throwing a panic party like you have never seen in your life over this one thing? And I'm going to share some video clips with you. It's going to be just wild. But I want you to know also that Donald Trump is going after the Department of Education. Additionally, I have something huge going on at the FBI right now. That's wild. We're also going to talk briefly about Canada and Mexico and what took place there. I've got an interesting video I'm going to share with you there. So we got an action-packed show. I see Ohio, Pennsylvania, Missouri, Illinois on. Illinois, there's conservatives. Folks, look at this guy. We have found Donald French, a conservative in the great state of Illinois. Give him a hand clap in the chat. I'm kidding. Donald, do you live in Chicago? I've been to, rural Illinois. Great folks, but man, Chicago is a wild place, man. Anyways, I'm going to start out with this, and I think this is so glorious because Senator Kennedy said something really good. This is awesome, and it's so true. Let's watch this real quick.
To my friends who are upset, I would say with respect, call somebody who cares. They better get used to this. It's USAID today. It's going to be Department of Education tomorrow. To my friends who are upset, I would say with respect, call somebody who cares.
Call somebody who cares.
They better get used to this. It's USAID today. It's going to be Department of Education tomorrow.
So, folks, this is what's taking place. They are so freaking out, and it's just going to keep getting better. But here's Carolyn Levitt, and I'm going to share this with you. Okay, my friend George posted this. It's actually from the White House account. But this is Carolyn Levitt, Donald Trump's press secretary. And she is going to lay out what Donald Trump has done in the first 2 weeks. This is how you deal with the fake news media. Okay, this is why I do this show, so we can get another source of information out there. For whatever reason, some of you people like me. I know some of you don't. That's okay. You don't have to watch. But listen to what Carolyn Levitt has to say here. And this will just show you the first couple weeks. And then we're going to get into the skeletons that are we found where the bodies are buried, folks.
We are 2 weeks in, and President Trump is already delivering big wins for the American people. Let's go through the facts. On the border, President Trump declared a national emergency, deployed the military, ended catch and release, and reinstated Remain in Mexico. And already, illegal crossings are down 95%.
95.
We are resuming construction of the border wall, and Colombia's president is now offering his own plane for deportation of illegal Colombian immigrants. On the economy and energy, President Trump unleashed American energy, declared a national energy emergency, and killed Joe Biden's radical electric vehicle mandate. Wall Street is booming, AI investments skyrocketed to $500 billion, and there's $20 billion flowing into U.S. data centers across our country. President Trump is restoring law and order. He labeled the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and he is deporting criminal illegal aliens, and he signed the Laken Riley Act into law. Draining the swamp, President Trump signed more than 45 executive orders. DEI has been purged from the government and our military, and lazy federal workers have been ordered back to the office. And when it comes to free speech and transparency, President Trump took 12 times more press questions than Joe Biden did in a week, reinstated 440 silenced journalists to the press room, and ended government censorship. Promises made, promises kept, and we're just getting started.
Just getting started, folks. We are just getting started. Oh my gosh. I just can't get enough of this. Now, what's really funny, okay, we're going to actually, I want to start with this FBI video. Anderson Cooper the other night, I don't know how many of you caught this, but he had Andy McCabe on. So I'm going to
totally unprecedented.
Hold on. Okay. So here you go. You've got to watch this. I mean, I have never seen rats scurrying so fast, cockroaches running out of the light. I mean, we are in an absolute epic transformation of our government right now. And I don't think anybody could have done this but Trump.
This is totally unprecedented. FBI rank and file agents and analysts who make up the vast majority of the field offices who do the work of investigating these cases, of executing search warrants, of executing arrest warrants, doing surveillance, electronic surveillance, whatever it might be. Those people are never touched by the political winds that blow through every 4 years, nor should they be. They, as you said, they don't pick their work. They're assigned to the work that they do. The work they do is lawful. Okay.
Here's the problem. I just got to interrupt Andy McCabe, and they shouldn't be doing Andy McCabe and Joe Biden's political work. That's the problem with the FBI. And I really don't feel bad for these agents who carried out, they're not lawful. Going in and they're way overdone, going in and arresting parents at gunpoint in front of their kids. It's ridiculous. They should be touched. I was very concerned. People would always say, well, what about the agents? There's lots of good agents. Okay. It's not just the upper echelon of the FBI right now. It is also the agents who would carry out those nefarious activities. Do you all agree with that? I mean, I'm sorry. I understand this whole thing about taking orders. Yeah. And then you could say, well, Hitler's people were just taking orders. Come on.
Within FBI policies, and not doing the work is not really an option for them, right? They come to the FBI. Most of them come intending to stay for the entirety of their career.
It's always an option. You always have the choice to do right or wrong.
20 years or more, 20 years on the agent side, a little bit more for the support side. And so to be targeted in this way for termination potentially or retribution simply for doing their jobs on a major national security case is incomprehensible to them or anybody that knows the organization. I've talked to more FBI people in the last 4 days than I did in the prior 4 years. Is John
more in the last 4 days than in the prior 4 years? That's fascinating.
Has described it accurately. It is a place in utter disarray right now. People are worried about, how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to support my family if I lose? If you're anywhere.
Let me ask you a question. How do you think those J6ers, do you think they were wondering how they were going to pay the bills, how they were going to support their family as they were getting moved from prison to prison, put in solitary confinement, being denied their calls to their attorneys and all of it? You guys know the stories. I've had these people on. Okay. We literally, my lovely audience, raised $4,000 so Joshua Black could put a roof on his house because he couldn't even work because the government had taken him out of commission. And we're supposed to cry over these FBI agents who were involved in this? Give me a break.
In the middle of that career, not close to retirement, if you get fired, you're done. That's the end of your reputation, your ability to get a new job. You lose your pay, you lose your chance at a pension, you lose your...
Do you know a guy just got he was contacting through Zillow to rent an apartment, one of the J6ers. And the lady said, "Are you?" So I can't remember which J6er it was, but anyway, somebody in the chat will probably know. But she wanted to know if he was the guy involved in J6 because she didn't want to rent to him, and she was a Democrat. It was all proven.
Health insurance. This is a moment of terror for these people. It is absolutely disgraceful that they are being put through this in the middle of some political gamesmanship or active retribution. They don't deserve to be treated this way. It's unlawful and it's disgusting.
Okay, first off, it's not unlawful. They can be fired. Okay. Secondly, political gamesmanship. Are you kidding me? With all we went through the last 4 years, with the shadow Obama government acting through Joe Biden with his vacant expression, just signing whatever was put in front of him. Come on. You have got to be kidding me. These people are so ridiculous. Okay, here, I'm going to show you something really funny. I just got to break it up with something funny. That was way too serious. I get too worked up. Watch this one.
This a transgender cop car. Look at that. Are you guys cops or you just identify as cops?
Free for you today, folks. I just had to throw that in. Just had to throw that in. All right, let's get into the USAID issue. And I'm trying to, I got this in 3 different places. So I'm sorry, folks, this is going to get just a little disjointed. I'm going to have to add things in and take them out of the stage. Okay. So give me just a second. I got to bring in a new screen, but I got to start with this, this one specific. Okay, here. Yeah, well, here, since this is up, I'll just talk about this really quickly. U.S. Air Force intelligence aircraft have entered Mexican airspace after Mexico agreed to cooperate in fighting the cartels, practically unheard of. Pete Hegseth set a warning to the cartels, saying all options are on the table. President Trump demanded 100% operational control of the border, and Hegseth is delivering. These cartels have absolutely no idea what's coming right now. They have no idea. This Trump administration is not messing around. The cartels, the human smuggling, they have said that it's going to stop. Not only that, Kash Patel has said that he will work to, bring out all the information on the Epstein client list, all the flight logs, all of it. So that's huge too. But I want to talk briefly about USAID. Actually, this will take up a bit of the show because this is huge. Bill Kristol, that hack, said the deep state is far preferable to the Trump state. This guy called himself a conservative. Are you kidding me? So, Data Republican, we're going to go to some of her information, but she said, hello, Mr. Kristol. For you, the deep state is preferable because you are listed as the president of Defending Democracy, EIN, which is an indirect beneficiary of USAID through Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisors. You are exposed. She is exposing people left and right over there. But here's what I really want to get to. Elon was happily tinkering with his rockets and electric cars in Democrat-controlled California. Then they tried to stop him from working during COVID. Y'all remember this? And he actually went out there. One thing I really appreciated about Elon Musk at that time was, I got some light just there. Oh, it's coming in off the window. I'm sorry. Anyways, then he went out on the line and worked with the workers. I don't know if you guys remember that, but now he's dismantling the entire deep state as a side hustle. Has a single tweet ever backfired so hard? F. Elon Musk, message received. This is May 11th of 2020. And this is where things really started changing. And so now we're going to take a look specifically. I'm going to just remove this from the screen, and I want you to watch this. This is Marco Rubio talking about USAID, and we're going to get into that in full swing here.
The head of USAID. The head of DOGE, Elon Musk, called USAID a criminal organization and added that it is time for it to die. Do you agree with that?
They have basically evolved into an agency that believes that they're not even a U.S. government agency, that they are a global charity, that they take the taxpayer money and they spend it as a global charity, irrespective of whether it is in the national interest or not in the national interest. One of the most common complaints you will get if you go to embassies around the world from State Department officials and ambassadors and the like is USAID is not only not cooperative, they undermine the work that we're doing in that country. They are supporting programs that upset the host government for whom we're trying to work with on a broader scale and so forth. So they're completely unresponsive. They just don't consider that they work for the U.S. They just think they're a global entity and that their master is the globe and not.
This is wild. So do you hear what Marco's saying there? This USAID is taking your money and they're acting like an arm of the WEF for the UN. That's what these people are doing, but it gets much worse.
The United States. And that's not what the statute says, and that's not sustainable.
Can it be reformed or does it need to die?
Well, that was always the goal, was to reform it. But now we have rank insubordination. Now we have basically an active effort where their basic attitude is, we don't work for anyone, we work for ourselves. No agency of government can tell us what to do. So the president made me the acting administrator. I've delegated that power to someone who's there full time, and we're going to go through the same process at USAID as we're going through now at the State Department. I think there are some, this is not about getting rid of foreign aid. There are things that we do through USAID that we should continue to do that makes sense. And we'll have to decide, is that better through the State Department or is that better through something, a reformed USAID? That's the process we're working through. There are things that are happening at USAID that we should not be involved in funding, or that we have a lot of questions about, but they're completely uncooperative. So we had no choice but to take dramatic steps to bring this thing under control.
Do you think that we'll...
So that's wild. So USAID is uncooperative. They're unresponsive to requests for information from Congress. In fact, so unresponsive are they that it was either Joni Ernst. I've got the tweet here, but Joni Ernst or Marsha Blackburn, I think it was Joni Ernst. Her and her office were threatened by USAID. That's how much power they think they have. They don't have to answer to elected officials. This is the shadow deep state conspiracy. And you know what's interesting? I want you to hear what Chuck Schumer, folks, this is where it's at. If you want to know where the action is, it's this USAID, because watch Chuck Schumer right now.
For our very eyes, an unelected shadow government is conducting a hostile takeover of the federal government.
This is so funny. Oh, the unelected shadow government? That's all the bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. See, Chuck Schumer, whether you like him or not, and I can't stand the guy, I mean, at least hypothetically, he can be voted out, right? He's been in there forever, okay? New York needs to get rid of him. They need to primary him in the Democrat primaries. If the Democrat Party had any sort of spine, if they had any sort of intestinal fortitude, if they had any sort of moral fiber in their being, they would get rid of this guy. So he is calling, again, this is the projection that the Democrats do, calling what isn't as if it were, when really what is can't be called what it is.
Friday night, the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, led by billionaire Elon Musk, gained access to the Treasury Department's entire system of payments, including Social Security and Medicare benefits and Americans' tax refunds. I'll say more on this in a moment. But that was not all. This weekend, DOGE staffers also executed what can only be described as an illegal seizure of the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID. We don't know who these DOGE staffers are. We don't know if they have security clearances. We don't know what legal authority they have to access USAID facilities, if any.
So here's the scoop on that. They actually do have the legal authority, okay? They do have the security clearances. Do you know what they're really upset about? They're freaking out because a bunch of 20-year-olds are in there, and their only concern is, where is the money going and how is it being spent? And they have the ability, through their computer engineering backgrounds, to find all this information quickly and efficiently. And the one thing the government hates is efficiency, okay? But let's listen to a little bit more of Chucky Schumer. It gets wilder.
We also know this is just the beginning. If DOGE attacks USAID today, then you can be sure they'll move on to another target tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe it'll be the Postal Service or the IRS or even the Social Security Administration. They could be next. Or maybe our national security agencies.
Let me ask a quick question for the chat. How many of you would be upset if DOGE went in and started looking at the IRS, how they're spending money, and whether or not they should even exist? Would that upset any of you? Any of you? Yes or no? Would that upset you at all? Is this supposed to be a scare tactic? Well, they might start looking at the IRS. I don't think Chuck Schumer knows exactly where America is at on this deal. Anyways, do me a favor. If you're new to the show, please do subscribe, share this out. We're having a good time today, man. Okay, wait, it gets better because this is so funny to me. I'm going to share a video with you. This is a little aside. We're going to get a little less serious for a second, but I want you to watch AOC, the bartender, calling the rocket scientist not smart. If you haven't seen this clip, it's worth watching. Just the ludicrousness, the absurdity of this clip is wild.
Dude is probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires I have ever met.
Just pause it right there. One of the most unintelligent billionaires. How many billionaires has she met? Smash that like if you would, please.
Or seen. Are witnessed, which, you know, you can probably even glean that from watching these people on TV. Anyways, all of that is to say is that they don't do their homework. Clearly, like, they're putting 19-year-olds in at the Treasury. This dude is not smart. And the danger in not...
This is so funny. They're putting 19-year-olds in at the Treasury, to run computer programs to see how the Treasury is wasting all of our money. This is wild.
In the lack of intelligence and the lack of expertise that Elon has. I mean, this guy is one of the most morally vacant, but also just least knowledgeable about these systems that we really know of. But the point is that what that means is that they're going to hit a button inevitably. They are going to hit a button and things can go sideways.
Oh, things can go sideways, folks. God, that sun is really playing off my computer. I am so sorry. Let me just try and fix this here really quickly for you fine folks out there in the viewing land. There we go. I think that'll help. All right. So this is... I think the fact that she actually thinks he's not smart is a good thing. Let me explain. They are underestimating Elon Musk and the 20-year-olds who are going in there and running these programs. But I'm going to share another clip on USAID. See, you need to understand, well, the reason I'm sharing all these clips, and then we're going to get into some actual data, is because you need to see just how bad this is, where the line in the sand is for them. And you keep having to ask yourself, if they're this freaked out about something, why are they this freaked out about it? I really believe that we are uncovering corruption on such a vast scale here. It's unbelievable. And this is like the house of cards that it's all hinging upon. Watch Jamie Raskin.
Elon Musk.
Jamie.
Elon Musk, you didn't create USAID. The United States Congress did for the American people. And just like Elon Musk did not create USAID, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're going to stop him. Elon Musk, you may have illegally seized power over the financial payment systems of the United States Department of Treasury, but you don't control the money of the American people. The United States Congress does that under Article 1 of the Constitution.
Now, what's interesting about this is what he said is actually true. So I just want to pull back here for a second. Raskin's talking about, the Ways and Means Committee is extremely powerful within the House, governing taxing and whatnot. And Congress has control of the purse, which it never used effectively, of course, during the Biden regime or Obama. They just approved all this crap, right? But I want you to understand there is a separation of powers, and he's right in the sense that Congress does have control. But Congress also has oversight, and they have abused their oversight authority by not using it because it's a money laundering scheme. Do you folks all get that? So they're not interested in where the money is, quote unquote, going. And we're finding out all kinds of interesting things. So Jamie Raskin's kind of full of hot air here.
And just like the president who is elected to something cannot impound the money of the people, we don't have a fourth branch of government called Elon Musk. And that's going to become real clear.
Do you know what's really funny is after he's done talking, we won't see it. Ilhan Omar is behind him. You'll see him. You'll see Ilhan just off his right shoulder there. And she starts talking about the Constitution. The gal who married her brother to subvert the election laws of our country to get here and get her quote unquote citizenship is going to talk to you and school you about the Constitution. We're not even going to watch that clip. It's so disgusting. I just saw something. I want to address this really quick. Gene said USAID was created by an executive order. Yes, it was, but it was ratified by Congress, I think, in 1998. So it was actually given authority by Congress. So a lot of people think just because it's an executive order can be eliminated through executive order. But since Congress actually, and there's a lot of people on the take in Congress, so that's why they did that, I believe.
Illegal, unconstitutional interference with congressional power is threatening lives all over the world. I'm hearing from my constituents who work for USAID and USAID contractors in Maryland, in Washington, all over the world, and they're telling us that this is a killer in terms of their cutoff of HIV and AIDS preemption. It's a killer in terms of anti-malarial education. It's a killer in terms of all.
Okay, I can't listen to him anymore, folks. Just appreciate that. We're going to go into actually where this money in USAID is going, because he's lying again. You know, so this is what they do. They're going to say, because AIDS in the name, you know, a lot of people think that's what happens with this, is that this money is utilized for good things like, you know, AIDS and all this other stuff. But here, I'm going to show you where this money is actually going. So this is it. Yeah. Senator Joni Ernst said that USAID had threatened her and her staff after she started looking into them. She was told she wasn't allowed to access their databases and that 30 to 40% of USAID's money goes towards overhead of rent and salaries and entertainment expenses. She later found out that that number was understated and it was actually upwards of 50 to 60%. It's not going to aid, folks. Okay. And here's Chuck Schumer. See, DOGE is not a real government agency. DOGE has no authority to make spending decisions. DOGE has no authority to shut programs down or to ignore federal law. DOGE's conduct cannot be allowed to stand. Congress must take action to restore the rule of law. Here's the thing, Chucky. It's not going to happen. Okay. You know, this is that whole thing, Executive Order 1961 by JFK. It was, but then it was in by Congress. I wanted to address that. Look at this one. Okay. This is Robbie Starbuck. I can't possibly explain the scale at which Democrats used our taxpayer dollars to enrich their friends, who then donated to them. So that's the money laundering scheme for the Democrat Party. They enrich these people who then donate to their campaigns. That's exactly like the unions in the federal government. And it happens at state level too. But let's just look at the federal government and the unions there, that then they lobby to get their salaries increased. Then those people who have their salaries increased, then this is, I can't remember which founding father talked about that kind of grift and how dangerous that was. But this is even more overt. Okay. $520 million was spent on ESG consultants. $1.2 billion was given to undisclosed recipients. Undisclosed recipients. Just give away $1.2 billion undisclosed. $375 million in DEI grants. Do you think there's one right-wing ESG or DEI firm getting contracts? No. Well, the reality is there is no right-wing ESG or DEI. All the agencies and governments sent billions to their friends at ESG and DEI firms. These people then turn around and donate to the Democrats who help them get their funding, or they fund more extreme left-wing activist orgs that Dems don't want to get caught directly funding. So they're using your taxpayer dollars. You need to understand this. They're using your money to fund their political campaigns. Okay. Remember this lady from the inauguration? Okay. Bishop Marianne Boud's Episcopal Migration Ministries collected $53 million in government programs in 2023 for immigration resettlement. So Trump is actually hurting her business. It's all starting to make sense now. Do you remember that heinous thing she did? Okay, now let me go here. I got to bring in another screen now. This stuff is so wild, folks. Okay, now I'm going to bring in share screen. Hold on. Okay, We're back to this screen, but now we're going to get down here. USAID has been unaccountable. So I bookmarked a bunch of stuff to bring into this show. USAID has been unaccountable to taxpayers for decades, funneling money to ridiculous, in many cases, malicious pet projects, entrenched bureaucrats with zero oversight. Okay. Well, wait, no. Here we go. 1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, inclusion in Serbia's workplace and business community. $70,000 for production of DEI musical in Ireland. 2.5 million for electric vehicles in Vietnam. $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I'm going to run through this. $2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala. Do you guys see where all this money is going? It's all going to far left organizations, okay, that then funnel it back to their campaigns because that's the money mill. You need to understand this USAID, this is where the bodies are buried. This is the skeletons in the closet. This is everything. That's why they're freaking out so bad about it. I mean, this $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, hundreds of thousands of dollars for nonprofit linked to designated terrorist organizations. Even after the Inspector General launched an investigation, this money is getting funneled to terrorists. Millions to EcoHealth Alliance, which was involved in research at the Wuhan lab. USAID was directly involved in the funding of the Wuhan lab and the gain-of-function research. Hundreds of thousands of meals that went to Al-Qaeda-affiliated fighters in Syria. Can you believe this stuff? Funding to print personalized contraceptive birth control devices in developing countries. Hundreds of millions of dollars to fund irrigation canals, farming equipment, and even fertilizer used to support the unprecedented poppy cultivation and heroin production in Afghanistan, benefiting the Taliban. So here's our CIA at work through the USAID, which is a CIA cover operation, funding irrigation canals, farming equipment, and fertilizer to grow the poppy, to make the heroin that they then utilize here that gets shipped here to America, gets our country addicted on it. Terrible, nasty stuff, okay? All kinds of fallout from that. Then they utilize that money and then give it back to terrorists to do more of this same crap. The list goes on. It's been happening for decades, okay? Representative Tom Tiffany, I've had him on the show before. The only people who fear DOGE are those who don't want transparency in government spending. Examples, USAID, NGOs, and Democrats, okay? But we're going to get back to more here. This is wild. Here you go. Rep. Nancy Mace. This is not a joke. The NIH and other government agencies have spent $10 million injecting animals with hormones and performing surgeries to mimic gender transitions. Oh, and it got worse. They're drugging animals to see how aroused they get. Remember Fauci and the Beagles? Okay, this is a great comment. Look at the redheaded libertarian. We are going to find out that USAID was linked to the assassination attempts, aren't we? Won't that be something if we find that out? Okay, that one I've already shared that video. Okay, this one. We got to go into Data Republican again here. Oh, come on. Where did it go? Here we go. Okay. I know exactly what I'm building tomorrow. It's going to be my most controversial yet. No turning back now. She's talking about the short of the past. Told my husband is it's a sad thing when I have to write code to cap and curate paths because there are too many paths to USAID to fit elegantly for many EINs. Everything is going well so far, but it turned out was neither a simple shortest path problem nor a max flow problem. Okay, then she gets it. And just to rub in Crystal's face, so she's talking about Bill Kristol, okay, who said that, what was it? The deep state is preferable to the Trump state, okay? Here's 3 paths out of about 20, okay? And she goes on, and look at this. Search transgender. And I could go into all this. She shows these different places, Crystal's money. But I want to go to this. Search transgender, gold mine of grift. I think that's supposed to be grift and waste like this one. $37,673,957 for HIV epidemic control in South Africa pivots on the success of providing appropriate services for key populations, including sex workers, their clients, and transgender people. Reproductive health HIV is a national leader in developing a model provision. So now we're giving money to study sex workers. United Nations World Food Program, $17 million. The impact of food security shocks in northern Ghana by facilitating cash transfers to approximately 17,000 households. Battery Dance Corporation, $68,937,000 to cover the expenses of Dancing to Connect workshops in Wuhan. So we are paying, again, $68,937 to cover the expenses of Dancing to Connect workshops in Wuhan. Very interested in AIDS research in Uganda. Look at all these totals. Oh, I went too far. Sorry. What do we got here? 14 million, 55 million, 34 million, 26 million, all for AIDS research in Uganda. It's wild. The more you go into this stuff, the worse it gets. Okay, let's go down here to the next one. Oh, listen to this. This is CBS News' new take on things. The Palisades and Eden fires that destroyed thousands of homes are now fully contained, but as residents look to rebuild, they may face a problem. President Trump's immigration crackdown could create a shortage of construction workers. And I think as you look at this, you need to understand, we literally have a mainstream media, and the Democrats are the party of slavery. They are the party of racism, folks. They are literally telling you that we need low-cost illegal immigrants to do the work because we can't pay American workers. Think about that. So what they're doing now, to go back to the other stories we've just covered. So you've got USAID working as a CIA cover to fund heroin development in Afghanistan that then gets sent back here to the U.S. to get people hooked on drugs here. So they become non-workers because they're in rehab for drugs. And then we can import low-wage workers from other countries. Do you guys see how incestuous and insidious and disgusting this all is? This, he did not get his position. Okay, just so you guys understand, that's the procedural vote to advance out of committee. The full floor vote takes place in 30 hours. That's where that's at. Okay, let's talk briefly about Canada. I got to get off USAID for a little bit because I get so worked up about it. I'm going to share with you a hilarious comedy out of Canada. Okay, now, you guys all saw Justin Trudeau folded yesterday like a cheap suit. And 2 months ago, I saw this comedy clip, and now I'm going to share it with you guys because this is exactly what happened.
President, I must admit I was worried that you were going to try to humiliate me.
I would never embarrass you, Justin. Are you kidding me?
Thank you, Donald.
Now I want to see you eat it.
Excuse me? The hamburger.
The Big Mac, the president of all burgers. I'm going to make you eat it like a dog with no hands.
Mr. President, I have self-respect.
Not so much, to be honest. I mean, he came like a dog, didn't he? He really did.
Mon ami, I come to you not on bended knee, but as an equal.
30% tariff.
My father taught me to
50% tariff.
We Canadians are a hearty lot.
60% tariff.
For Canada! I'm a hungry little puppy. I'm so hungry for my puppy chow.
All right, that's enough, Justin. I won't impose a tariff. I can't. I'm not even the president yet, am I? What a loser. Now let's DJ.
And it happened. Justin Trudeau absolutely folded. I want to give you Trump's statement on Canada the other day with some things he said.
What I'd like to see Canada become our 51st state. We give them protection, military protection.
Hey, turn up your volume because this just came through soft, okay?
What I'd like to see Canada become our 51st state. We give them protection, military protection. We don't need them to build our cars. I'd rather see Detroit or South Carolina or any one of our Tennessee, any one of our states build the cars. They could do it very easily. We don't need them for the cars. We don't need them for lumber. We don't need them for anything. We don't need them for energy. We have more energy than they do. We don't need them for energy. So I say, why are we doing this? Why are we willing to lose between $100 billion and $200 billion a year? We don't need them. As a state, it's different.
We don't need them. Now, if you folks didn't know, one of the things that was happening up in Canada is businesses were saying they were going to relocate to America. Big businesses too. But now I'm going to show you something. This'll forgive the crass language on this, folks, but this guy made a video about Canadian oil, and I got to share it with you. So just, forgive, there's going to be a couple bad language pieces in here. If kids are watching, whatever. This guy educates you on the actual oil coming out of Canada.
Ooh, buddy, you're not going to like how this goes. Fun fact, spent 4 years in the North Dakota oil fields. First year was as a flowback operator. The next 3 years was as a lease operator, or a pumper, as it were. Yep, 4 years of oil field work in the great state of North Dakota. Oofta. So does the United States purchase a lot of Canadian oil exports? Survey says yes. We actually purchase 97% of the oil that you guys export. And that 97% of oil
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, shoot. The thing just... So he's saying that basically we purchase all this oil from Canada, but you're going to find out why it's not such a big deal. I'm sorry, I hit the wrong thing.
Ooh, buddy, you're not going to like how that accounts for 81% of your guys' entire oil production. Now, for some reason, you got it in your head that we desperately need to purchase this oil from you. Our oil and energy sector is going to die without Canadian exports. No, it's not. There's a very specific reason we purchase so much. It's because you guys sell that oil to us at a discount. Why would Canada sell so much oil at a discount? Well, simply put, it's because about 75% of your guys' total oil production is sour heavy crude. Oh, well, why doesn't Canada just refine their oil, eh? It's because you guys can't. Your refineries can't handle sour crude.
This is wild. So again, what you guys need to understand here is we were told by the Canadian government, look, you guys should just love us. Justin Trudeau, Doug Ford, these people. No, you don't understand. America needs Canada. You need our oil. There's no other market for this Canadian oil. So we buy it at a discount because we can refine it, because our refineries are set up for it, because we have a bunch of that stuff here in the United States. So we built refiners that can handle this stuff. Y'all get it now? Okay, so Canada is telling us, oh, you really need to, you're going to fall apart if you don't have Canadian oil. That's all wrong. Watch, he goes on.
And you guys don't even have the money to maintain or build the infrastructure that it would take to transport this oil across your own country.
They don't even have the infrastructure to transport it across their own country. This is where Canada's at, folks. This is wild. And they're trying to tell us that we need them. No, they need us just to have a market for their oil. Do you guys get it? That's why Justin Trudeau folded like a cheap suit.
And that's if you were able to refine it in the first place. So the reason why we get to purchase the lion's share of your oil production at a highly discounted rate is because it's raw fucking oil.
Okay.
And sour oil packed full of H2S gas, which is the second most lethal gas on the planet, right next to what happens when you burn it. So, because it's so heavily discounted, we actually save money by purchasing your exported oil versus just refining our own oil coming out of the Bakken Shale, which accounts for 61% of our oil production, which is sour heavy crude as well. Now factor in that crude oil accounts for 16% of anything that Canada exports, and we buy 97% of that. Who's going to be hurting more economically if we just stop buying that raw oil from you and deal with refining our own shit?
You guys get it? I mean, so we've got this same oil sitting and if you don't, the Bakken is, western North, South Dakota, Montana, Wyoming. We've got, as the United States, we have more known oil reserves than any other country in the world by far. That's why when Trump talks about drill, baby, drill, okay, that's why that's so critical. Okay, and you watch the depleted strategic petroleum reserve, okay, that was depleted under Biden so they could try to manipulate oil prices down just before, so they could get him reelected, okay, and that they could win the midterms and all this stuff. all that production, our production is going to go up. Our oil is going to get cheaper, okay? By the barrel, Donald Trump is going to then fill up the Strategic Petroleum Reserve again. Okay, you guys, why America first?
Crude oil by itself is a $124 billion a year industry in Canada, by the way. Just selling raw oil down the Keystone pipeline to American refineries. $124 billion. Canada, you guys do not have the leverage that you think you do economically.
Yeah, Canada doesn't have the leverage. That's why Justin Trudeau had to fold. Now, we were told this too about Mexico. Do you remember this little clip? This came out a couple days ago. This Chuck Schumer again. This guy's such an idiot. I end up using his clips because he's such a dolt.
Let's just take Super Bowl Sunday, okay? It's going to affect beer, okay? Most of it, Corona here, comes from Mexico. It's going to affect your guac, because what is guacamole made of? Avocados, both from Mexico.
Yeah, these people are so out of touch. They think that all you care about is guacamole and Corona beer. I mean, I cannot. I just, they're so out of touch with the American. This is why Trump won so decisively. Okay. Now, another thing that must be addressed is the issue of elections, folks. I think I'm going to have to do a separate show on that because we're running up on time here, but let me go back to this really quickly. A couple other things I wanted to get. So George found this out. Breaking, 2 of Canada's fastest growing food companies are now planning to move their operation to the United States to avoid paying President Trump's tariffs. Midday Squares was initially planned to expand its factory in Montreal. Okay, 70% of its sales though are in the U.S. They don't want tariffs on their stuff. This is another thing that was happening up in Canada. Business leaders had to be calling Justin Trudeau. Okay, tariffs. It turns out trade wars are hard. Canada's Doug Ford announced he was canceling Ontario's Starlink contract in response. What he might not have realized is that Canada's own satellite and internet constipation won't be ready until 2027, and it is relying on Elon Musk's SpaceX to get its satellites into space. These people are acting before they're thinking, okay? Viva Free said, in order to fight back on Trump's tariffs, instead of securing our border, fighting illegal drug trade, and tightening up foreign student visa abuse, we're going to deprive Ontario residents of internet, and particularly those in rural, remote, and underserved areas, okay? So this is, banning American companies from provincial contracts. That was Doug Ford's great plan. See, these trade wars, you actually have to have economic power. You have to have the manufacturing capacity and capability. There's much that goes into it. And Canada doesn't have it. Okay. And I know a lot of Canadians watch my show because I covered the trucker protests ad nauseum. You Canadian citizens, I am so sorry. You have to put up with your government that you have, but you're going to have to work on getting them out of there. It's going to take fixing your elections. It's going to take, it's just, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of Great Britain in some senses because you have so many immigrants that came over from other countries. You've lost a lot of your culture and heritage and identity as a result of that. And so I hope you can get it back. Okay. What we should do is take Canadian patriots and ship California liberals up to Canada. How many of you'd be for that exchange? I just solved a great problem, folks. We can take Canadian patriots and give them some liberals. Make Canada even more liberal than it already is. Watch it implode even quicker and further so it can become the 51st state. There you go. Neil Johnson, mark it here. I just had a great idea. That's it. I got my great idea for the day, folks. Anyways. Again, please go check out my sponsor, MyPillow, mypillow.com. Use promo code Lumberjack or call 1-800-568-2865. Free shipping right now. Again, it's not just the pillows. It's the sheets are the best sheets. My 3 favorite products, the travel pillow, the sheets, and the towels. Okay. But he also has the bathrobes. The coffee is phenomenal. I should put that up there as one of the top products too, because it's just phenomenal coffee. Anyways, go check it out at mypillow.com or call 1-800-568-2865. Thanks so much for listening. Again, you're the best audience on planet Earth. If you're new, make sure to subscribe to the show. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace out.